That heifer right there just don't even care.
Take yourself out.
What do you say, folks? Sorry, we're running a few moments behind. Kind of a rush to get home, if you will. But hope everybody's having a good evening, good weekend. Just been kind of up and down on ours, to be honest with you. Rain, life, all that kind of good stuff. But
Really long week turned into an even longer weekend.
indeed it did. But hope everybody's doing well. Rummage through here real quick and say howdy to everybody. Trying to tinker with this laptop and the live as well. Then I'm gonna see if I can flip back and forth on between the B journal and all that this evening. But kind of give y'all a hint on the B journal when I now, because every time I do that I give it away. So, but Mike, that's Mike Tangway. I believe he said he changed the name over. Mr. David Lewis there, yeah. Miss Danae, good to see you. Thank you for the cookie recipes. Found them in the email the other day. Keith Spillman, Mr. Steve Amos. Who else we got in here? Tom, Miss Sarah. I bring it. Good to see you, ma'am. My woman has enjoyed hanging out with y'all. I'll say that.
I have. I was so bummed out when the weather and the phone wouldn't cooperate Saturday. I texted Sarah a whole bunch of crying faces because I kept getting kicked out. I couldn't be on it at all.
Yeah, we're in the highest part up at her grandma's. We're at the highest part of the county. On top of, we are, that is the highest part above sea level for its coastal counties from Texas to Maine. And you can't hardly get a signal up there.
Danae, are you serious?
What?
Lord, you got buttermilk at the Dollar Tree down here.
She couldn't find buttermilk?
Said I've been looking all over for buttermilk to make pies and can't find it anywhere.
No.
You can literally, some gas stations even sell buttermilk down here.
That is
Like,
the truth.
no joke at all. That's hard to believe.
Even your Wally World didn't have any?
She said it's pathetic. That's heartbreaking, to tell you the truth. Because I'm going to tell you, I keep a jug of buttermilk in that fridge, and not just for pies. I use it for all kinds of stuff.
Oh, yeah, folks use it. Cornbread.
Mm-hmm. That's the only thing I don't bake without buttermilk is biscuits.
Fix like biscuits.
I mean, I do have a recipe for biscuits with buttermilk, but it's a whole lot easier to do that one I made a video on.
That's what. Hopefully, you can get your hands on some. Get you and Jack
I hope so.
a pie made. But let's see who else we got.
Oh yeah, Mr. Mike, that's true. You can make buttermilk out of your own milk, like whole milk or whatever.
They want to do that?
Do
they want to do that?
I mean, it makes buttermilk. Okay, Minnesota Mike, I will add him to the prayer list. Yeah, we got front and back on one page, and I'm starting the second page.
While you're writing that down, I'll rummage through here and finish saying howdy to everybody. But let's see, Mr. David Hoskins here, Randy Tarhill, Dave Morris Homestead. Good to see you back. Grammy. Grayson, James Noel, Mr. Mike Conley, Joseph Rawls, our Louisianan brother over there, Miss Deb, our Floridian over yonder. Let's see, Bob's in here, Philip's in here, Pastor Larry, Miss Jan, Pastor Larry.
That was an incredible message this morning.
Yes, sir. Who else? Minnesota Mike. I didn't went too far. I said, yep, Carl and his two big brats in here as well. Yeah, y'all, if I missed you, I apologize because I am hitting. Y'all know me and these here buttons. And Jeremy, good to see y'all, everybody in here.
Playing these chairs?
No, Ewing. Ewing. Sorry, forgive me. But yeah, let's see. We did have, we got a video in the vault where we had went out. I believe it was Tuesday or Wednesday of this past week, whichever day. It cleared up just for one day. Then DC sent his rain over here for another 2 days. But we had the one day, so we took advantage of it. And lo and behold, we ended up having a day off to, well, kind of going to get materials, but we got home much earlier. So we figured, let's go out, check Valentine, because we haven't been into her pretty much really at all, and to see if she's moved down because she's in double D. Well, went rummaging through. I don't want to give all the video away, but we ended up finding some queen cells, done 3 splits, trying to get the horizontal hives built up and going again. That's pretty much one of our main goals as far as to get started, get them horizontal hives up. There's just a bunch of sentimental value to us in them horizontal hives. But so we got them going, and I won't say anything else about the video because we still have a little outro that we've got to put with that because of just what had happened at the end to us. And so the following day, we had got home from work and gonna be bopping through the door. Had just enough time to set things down. Hannah let Jasper out of puppy prison. Out the door they went, and I grabbed me some tea. Well, it wasn't just, I don't know, a second or two later, Hannah's hollering at me, there's a swarm out here. Or they're swarming. I was like, dude, what? She said the nuke is swarming. Well, we didn't check them.
That was the one box that didn't have time to do.
No. So, walked out the door, and sure enough, y'all, you can hear them just a humming and buzzing and carrying on. Well, what do? Typical gun line fashion. 25 foot up in the air, up in one of the water oaks. They did go way up, and I was watching them, and they started coming back down. And I'm thinking, boy, oh boy, maybe they'll come on and light. There's a wild persimmon. I think we was talking about them things in one of the last chats, how good those little bitty wild persimmons are when they're ripe. Don't eat one when it's green. But
Yeah, you talk about making pucker up.
like what is that? Smiling like a possum chewing on a persimmon, as they say. And
yeah, we do too. So you need to make yourself a swarm tree.
Oh, we got one.
They just don't ever go to it. So we're gonna try another one and see if we can find one they like better.
Well, they like that yellow pine.
Yeah. Where the lowest branch is 45 foot up.
Yeah, they love that joker. And that's year after year after year. They'll go out and go light up, usually, like I say, in that yellow pine. But this time, they went into one of them water oaks, and it was still way too far to even try to get them up there. But
He said take a low tree and hang queen sticks all over it like Christmas ornaments.
well, if I'd had my thinking cap on, talking to Mr. Mike Connolly the other day on the telephone, and I just may rig this up just because this always happens to us. But he was talking about a fishing pole. Put a heavy weight on there, get you some good, 20, 40-pound test line. Fish that baby right over the limb, let the weight fall, tie you a brood frame onto it, and just reel that dude right on up to the top, wherever they're at, and get them to cluster up on there and just ease them down. I thought to
That's
myself,
pretty brilliant.
that's what I was thinking. I was like, the man is genius. I got to try that.
Yeah, Jeremy, we have caught them with the tangen before. But you talk about give you a headache by the time you bribe them suckers into coming where you want them.
Yep.
I was over that.
We're what, 2 for 3 on Tangan?
I think so.
But I mean, I'll have it. You can hear it echo through in the woods. Just bang, bang. So yesterday, come home and it was just about dark. Well, they was gone. The swarm, we couldn't find them anywhere around the yard. So we was like, well, kiss this one goodbye pretty much. And let no Jasper out, went down and just nosing around to, I'd shined the light in one of those splits we had done a night or night before last. Y'all bear with me. There's a story to this. But I shined the light in there, looked, seen one of the queen cells had hatched from one of the splits, but it was on the opposite side of the other horizontal hive there. And we noticed, okay, there's a little bit more traffic, so we getting some workers coming out, that kind of stuff, and everybody's figuring out where home is now. So yesterday went back down there to check on them, and the 2 splits we put into one horizontal hive, one was on one end, one was on the other, and the spot in the middle was open. Well, the spot in the middle, there's nothing in, like I say. And got to noticing there was a whole bunch of scalps, what we assumed scalps, back and forth, back and forth. And we had put the homemade, long-lasting lure stuff that we had made. We put that on everything out there just to see how it goes and make a run of it. And I was like, we're goodness at the scalps around this joke. So when we got home this evening, had just enough time to run down there to see what was going on with all that, see if anything had moved in. Well, there was more traffic, way more traffic going in and out, but they was bringing pollen back this time. And I was like, uh-oh, maybe we in luck. So on that end, we had come inside. I grabbed the jacket real quick, and I said, I'm going to look in there to see if a swarm had moved in. Well, I rolled the lid back, pulled the slats, nothing in there. Well, sitting there watching them, I had left a slat out. Well, one of the splits we had done, they were boiling over with bees. It was not 2 frames of bees in there anymore. I'm talking about there was a good amount of bees in there. So don't know yet for sure if that's the swarm and they came back and ended up with the 2 frame split we had done. I don't know if those queen cells had hatched yet. I know for a fact that they have not, I guess, had time to do a mating flight or anything if they had just hatched yesterday. So there's a bunch more bees in there. So I'm assuming a swarm has had moved into that side. So I rearranged everything, got slats moved over, covered all that good stuff. So where they'll be coming in and out of the entrance that they're supposed to be coming in and out of. So we're going to hopefully, if DC's rain don't get in here next weekend, and rummage through and see if we have a laying queen in there or not. So we're going to keep our fingers crossed on that end, see how that goes. And y'all, I'm trying to figure out a little bit more editing because I'd really love to be able to show y'all this video. But our nephew, y'all hear us talk about, he wants to be a beekeeper and all. Ollie Man is what, 7?
He just turned 7. But y'all, he made the most incredible video for us. He been after me. Haney Boo, I want to be a part of y'all's YouTube channel. Well, his dad has a rule. He doesn't want him on social media. And I can understand and I have to respect that. But I was going to post his video, but when he did his little sign off, and y'all, I didn't even coach him, but he did it perfect. Well, he say something. Well, we had a good time, and we'll see you next time here at Gunline Bees. But he turned it around, the little camera button, and put it on his face. So we're trying to figure out how to, like, just put a picture over, but still let his voice do it. But yeah, he worked so hard. That video was like 9 minutes and 40 something seconds. But that kid was bound and determined. He was going to catch a bee on film for his first YouTube video. And I'd be dog if that little joker didn't get 2 of them. 2 separate times. But then I was sitting up on the porch while he was down at the hives trying to catch him one. And he thought he had a drone, but he had a slightly irate little female on his arm when he starts running up. Handy Boo, look what I got. And I'm going, baby, I don't want to die today. You can't bring her up here. That's Uncle Tim's department.
Yeah, we're really hoping we can figure out. All right, some of you tech people, what's a good editing software app, whatever you want to call it, you can use for a Dell computer, Windows. I don't know if any of that matters, but to where you can do something like that, you can clip the audio, but it won't show his face. And like Hannah was saying, we can, attach it to maybe like our thumbnail picture or something, because that little fella, it's just, we're partial to him anyway, so we're going to, I guess, lift him up, if you will. But his little sign off to me was the best. Whenever Hannah showed that to me, I was like, you little joker.
Yeah, it was awesome. That how he started out, he was so excited because normally I don't turn him loose with my phone because I've learned my lesson. He's not the first niece or nephew that's suckered me into that. But he starts out the video you see him like walking off the porch and headed down toward the hives, and he's going, "Okay, y'all, this is the first time." What did he say? "This is the first time in my life I get to go to the bees by myself."
And we kept trying to tell him, all right, knucklehead, don't stand in front of the entrance there. Stand off to the side. But where it's the first place he goes, he's standing right there in front of the entrance. But he does eventually meander on around to the side.
He did it one time, stood right in front of one, and he caught himself. And I need to back up. Well, he starts backing up, and then he spins around. Oh, the other one's right there. I can't stand there either. I got to back the other way. I told him, I was like, I'm going to have to put a vertigo warning on this video description when we post it.
Yeah.
And then he forgot he was trying so hard to catch a bee. And so he moved right back to the entrance of the horizontal hive. And you can kind of hear me holler at him, "Buddy, you going to get stung." And he screams into the phone because he didn't hear me, but he did not move the phone from his face before he screams out, "Ma'am." I was like, "You little country bumpkin."
Let's see. Ed said you can blot it out. Danae says Windows Tool on your laptop should have a good one already, maybe.
Yeah, our laptops, Bobo. Jeremy said I send everyone to the front to help them get acquainted.
Yeah.
But he's 7. I couldn't do that to him. But y'all, he was so sweet. He had gone to work with us that day. And as soon as we got home, Uncle Tim took him down and caught him a drone and let him play with it. And he named it after some music group, brought it inside, and he's loving it, and got it a spoonful of honey to feed it. Well, he dropped the poor little thing square in the middle of that spoon of honey. And he was some kind of put out when he had to take it back to the hive to let its sisters clean it up. "Uncle Tim, can't we just give it a bath?" I was like, "Buddy, I don't think that's going to work."
And on that, too, we had went up the day we took him to work with us.
Monday.
Yeah. All right. We was finishing up the stuff around our grandma's house and had a little bit of touch up to do on that roof we've been fooling with. And so he was coming to help Uncle Tim and Hanny Boo load all the ladders up and all this good stuff. And we have went around, and Hannah's been doing the videos of the azaleas. And was telling him, said, "Look, buddy, we're going to take this little piece of stuff here we made, and we're going to put on this box and try to get a swarm of bees to come in."
Oh, man. Yeah.
Well, it turned into, "Well, I want my own bees." We said, "Well, I tell you what, if we get a swarm of bees in here, these will be your bees." And it was kind of a little overwhelming for him to understand how the bees come to a box and you want them to get in there as far as the swarming and all that good stuff. So I told him, I said, "Buddy," I said, "I tell you what," I said, "if you want that box to be your box, you go around there." Because we got to talking about the Lord a little bit beforehand, and this is kind of what brought it on. And he was questioning different things, about the Bible and this kind of stuff. And I told him, I said, "Buddy," I said, "I tell you what," I said, "you go over there," and I said, "you pray a little prayer over that box, and we'll see what Jesus does for us." And I said, "We can't promise he's going to put bees in it, but you go say a little prayer."
But he wouldn't talk to Jesus for a solid 10 minutes over that bee box. He was gone.
Hannah and I stayed on one side of the house. We let him go over there and say his little prayer. But, after a minute or two, we're both kind of looking at each other like,
I was about to the point where we go, check on this youngin' and see where he's disappeared to, and directly he come running back around the corner of the house.
It was pretty awesome, the little fella going over there and doing that.
Oh, that's a good idea, DC. I didn't even think about doing that. DC said get him a deep and let him paint it up. Decorate it how he wants it to move his bees into.
We can get the big torch that we hooked to the big
You are
propane
not
bottle.
turning my 7-year-old baby loose with a torch and a propane bottle.
He'll be supervised. Uncle Tim will be right there with him.
It.
Finger paint. We're gonna man up on that one. Put some power to it, son.
They gonna give Hanny Boo a nervous breakdown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's really been it on the bees and the beekeeping around here.
This whole week's just kind of blurred together.
It has been. But
how else to make him a pyro? He don't need no encouragement on that, I promise you. Yeah, Chris said stickers are safer.
yeah.
I mean, I will get into the paint with him, but I don't know. I got in enough trouble for introducing him to mud puddles for the first time when he was a baby. God only knows what my sister would do to me if I turned him loose with a blowtorch on a bee box.
Well, it's one of them. Uncle Tim would just do it, then wasn't.
Yeah, Uncle Tim's on his own on that one when Mama finds out.
How's that saying go? You know, ask for forgiveness later or whatever it is.
It's better to ask forgiveness than permission. That ain't always the case.
There we go. We'll work it out.
He said get some of those nice and bumper stickers.
Little hippie smiley face ones.
Yeah. Hey, I learned how to swim in mud puddles, Jeremy.
I mean, well, his mama, she about had a fit the first time because, you know, the whole, he's going, ringworms and this and that, and was like, look, sister. Calm down.
He was just getting in, just barely starting to walk, like holding on to you. He wasn't even talking good yet. And he had been staying with my mama that day while my sister was working. And we went and got him when we come home, and Mama was walking around the driveway with him, and there's this, massive mud puddle in my parents' driveway that we used to play in all the time. And she was walking around it. I was like, Mama, let that baby play. Oh, Abby would have a heart attack. He ain't never been in the mud before. Buddy, me and him both landed in the middle of that mud puddle and went to making mud pies.
And it was game on for that little fella. That's all he needed right there. And
he was black from head to toe. Yeah, Jeremy, I'd love to see that.
Oh, yeah. Build his immune system up. Yes, sir. That's my little buddy, though. He likes to come out and hang out with Uncle Tim, and he says he's going to work with us, but y'all know how that usually ends up with a 7-year-old as far as work for the most part. But,
about 10 minutes and let's go play. How much money did I make?
Yeah. Little Joker going to question me about his pay for today one time. That's another story. You want to do the prayer list?
Mm-hmm.
And we'll get into some things, and we'll get into the beekeeping.
Okay. I hadn't seen him in here tonight, but Mr. Mark Miller, Ed and Miss Chris, the Dirt Rooster's dad, Mr. Pat, Miss Deb the Sun Bunny, Bob's friend Jason Cooper. I've seen Bob in here. Have you got any kind of update on him? It's been a little while since we heard anything. Grammy Lisa, her son and 2 granddaughters, Bob and his family, Tom's mother-in-law, Mac Apiary Tom, Mr. Donnie, Michael Tangway's wife, Miss Cindy, but I don't remember if it was in a chat or he sent an email. But he told us earlier this week that she had a really, really good checkup and was progressing well. So we were glad to hear that. Miss Carla Green, DC's parents, David Hoskins' little granddaughter Emma, and man, I'm still on cloud nine hearing that baby got to come home last week. Baby Luca that needs a heart transplant, Mr. Dan Weaver put on here. The Brown and Daughters Beekeepers in Israel, Pam's garden friend, Mindy, all Phillips people, his mama, his cousin Lorinda, his mentee Rachel Wilson, her best friend Deanna Wheeler, and then his mother-in-law. Sarah's daughter Crystal, the Jennifer Brown family, Russell Amon's wife Miss Brenda, Queen V's Jeremy and Valerie's baby Isaiah. I think he's still been progressing pretty good. Bobby's B and his family, Minnesota Mike, his friend Mr. Vincent, but he said earlier Mr. Vincent's doing fantastic.
Good deal.
When he added this other request. Miss Kennedy Bowman, the Sissy Williams family.
We can take Sissy off there. Yeah.
And then if y'all wouldn't mind keeping my family in your prayers, there's a lot going on. Ed's dad, Mr. Mike Brown, which he had some good news and was doing better too. I lost my place. Aaron Frederick, the soldier that was hurt in training that Baker Bees added. And he gave us an update not long ago, said he's moved to a rehab earlier this month, but y'all, that man's still looking at a 1.5 year recovery time. Chris the Bug Man.
He's in here.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I had already said hey to Kelly.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Mr. Larry and Miss Sherry Gandy and Mr. Larry's mom. The Cheryl Faulkner family. Oh, that I got a reminder in my head on that. Steve Amos's in-laws, Larimore Farms, and he commented on the last little azalea video I did and said he was doing well. He was still adjusting to losing sight in that one eye. Okay, Chris. I'm glad you're doing better, buddy. Hillbilly Earl, Ian's Bees, Canada Ian. The Paris family, and that's the Dirt Rooster's wife, Miss Elizabeth. She lost her daddy a few weeks ago. Joey Rawls, Philip's friend BJ and his wife, Sandy from Icy Mountain Honey. They've got a young family member with meningitis. I hadn't seen her in here yet. Grammy Lisa's bees. How are they doing after you did all your mite treatments? That's what I had put your bees on here for. Lee, he just came in. We had him on here for his back, and I was just about to take him off of here for that when he tore all the ligaments in his leg. So he's still on here. But he said the other day he was getting a little bit better. So hopefully he's still improving. And then these three were ones that Jay from J3GS had put on his community page, but created with Tuck, Pieces of April, and the Pescatarian. Joey's son, Jeremy Rawls. I said Philip's mother-in-law. Alright, y'all, I don't want to butcher this name, but the Montalbano family. I didn't even write down who added them.
Is that what?
No. And then I'm gonna butcher this name too, probably, but DC sent us an email with a link to a video, Bruce's bees, or Bruce with his bees, but his granddaughter in Korea, her name is, I'm gonna try not to butcher it, but Unsong, and they just said she had a lot going on, so that baby needs some prayers. And then Minnesota Mike's brother Dave, he said he's having some brain trouble from too many concussions. So Bruce and his bees. Okay, not with his bees. Thank you, Dave.
Steve Amos. So my three are all home, and in-laws are good, a bit better, but my brother's still real weak.
Okay.
So we'll definitely
Well,
keep him on there, bro.
good to hear about your in-laws.
And I meant to mention this last week, but I know the folks could still use our prayers. But all the people affected by those tornadoes week before last up in, let's see, where was it? Indiana, Ohio, and somewhere else right in there. But them storms that pushed through week before last,
Yeah.
done a number on folks' homes, and I think from what I seen, there was 3 deaths in Indiana, I think. But I meant to say something last week about that, but I know many of y'all praying for them, but continue to pray for them folks that they can get back on their feet before too long, and insurance companies don't drag them out with a whole bunch of rigmarole, as we say down here, a bunch of mess to get them back settled in, their homes and get life back going in some kind of manner. Let's see, Philip.
Okay, he did a video just as a shout out for that. Okay. DC. Okay, Crystal. Oh, good, Sarah. She got her surgery rescheduled. That's awesome. Lord, I hope and pray that they can do it this time and get her some relief. It's at April 25th.
Let's see. Philip said, my mother-in-law was recovering good from her first surgery. She had nausea from the pain meds, but now is off of this and scooped around on her knee scooter.
Oh, good. Hey, I had a blast on one of them suckers when I was stuck on one. Let me find where I wrote her. Okay, doing better.
There you go. Appreciate you putting the link up, DC.
Yeah. Thank you, thank you. Wait, I had one in my head I was fixing to write down. And it's gone.
Train off the track.
Way off
It's your
the
turn
track.
this time. Y'all don't worry. Whenever I go to reading here in a little bit, or nobody starts coming in the chat and we go to reading. But I think I want to go through that with y'all because we're going to talk about drones. And
Before you get it, can I say one thing?
yes,
I ain't seen him in here tonight, but I know he comes in a lot, and maybe he'll catch it on the replay. But we wanted to wish a huge happy birthday to J3GS. Today is his birthday on Palm Sunday, And we hope you had the most blessed day, buddy.
Absolutely. Happy birthday, Captain.
Yeah.
Maybe him and his woman going out to get him a bite to eat or something.
I hope so.
Enjoy the day.
Alright, y'all. I'm trying to make sure I didn't miss anything. Oh, good. Lee said he's doing a lot better.
It's Morgan Smith's birthday, too. Y'all want me to sing happy birthday to everybody?
Oh. Well, happy birthday, Morgan.
I'm just picking
I
on
hadn't seen him in here. No.
Y'all don't want me doing that. Them dogs will be hooping and howling and carrying on.
Lord, we both run y'all smooth out the state, and y'all ain't even in the state with us.
Things that I know some of y'all probably caught the video. I think it was Dirt Rooster's last video, where Mr. Pat was in there. Then him and Pete are back together, running together again. I guess Pete's feeling a little bit better. But Dirt Rooster was trying out some kind of new microphone on his get up. Well, if y'all watched all the way through and you seen to the part where they're sitting it looks like a grocery store parking lot or something, and Dirt Rooster's just kind of yelping or yelling, if you will. Well, I was sitting here watching it, and everybody's favorite dog, old Jasper, buddy, that joker come alive. He's looking at me, turning his head all kind of every which way, like, what in the world is going on here? And I text old Dirt Rooster and tell him about it. We kind of got a good laugh back and forth on that. But he said, I may have to give Jasper a call every once in a while. But,
I didn't mean to do that.
No. Oh, no, ma'am, today I'm not going to sing for real. I don't want this one to sing.
We make Lucille Ball sound like Loretta Lynn trying to sing up in this house. I love to sing, but I just count on Jesus to turn it into something for the Father before it gets there. Because it ain't happening on this earth.
I'm one of those, like in church, whenever we start singing and, doing our worship, before the preacher gets up there and does his thing, well, I wait till everybody else gets loud. Then I'll keep it at a tone of where I guess I can kind of blend in a way, which it still sounds terrible. But the Lord knows I'm trying.
That's it.
And
that's why I love the music services at our Bible conference we do at church every year. Because it's so many people and it's so loud, you can sing your little heart out and can't nobody hear what you sound like.
Yeah. It's like you're riding down the road by yourself in your
Yeah.
pickup truck. Crank it up, and it don't matter what you sound like. In your own world, you sound like old George Strait on the radio singing a song. Yes, sir. Music to God's ear.
Yeah, that's what we go for.
But, y'all, I'm going to touch on the subject just a minute. Then we'll mosey on into the beekeeping portion. I hope not, but it seems that we have got a misconception on what we're trying to do with the swarm lure, long-lasting swarm lure deal. And our sole purpose in doing that video and coming across things was to help folks out. And it's just kind of a small way to, I guess, pay it forward a little bit.
Y'all, we have gained so much out of our little beekeeping community. And I mean, that was our only intention with that, was to just kind of share what we learned like we do everything else.
Because it was like with whenever y'all came together for us, there's no way we could monetarily pay. I mean, we could. It would, we'd have to get back to you every month. But I know none of y'all would be asking that. But how y'all came together, it wasn't just one sole individual. It was multiple people that pulled together and pulled money for us. Well, for Hannah. Then it just ended up to where, y'all raised enough money to where it worked out for the both of us, and we're still eternally grateful on that end. So we
Yeah.
was trying to figure out a way to help folks that don't have extra money, but you have resources to be able to make you a lure, that kind of thing. And
Yeah, that was our only intention with it.
no, we're not trying to step on no toes or create friction
No,
anywhere.
not at all.
But because it was discussed with somebody prior to doing anything, to where I was going to break down and do a video on lemongrass alone, and what drew honeybees to a swarm trap. And I didn't want to use a product of anybody's, and it's not just because of any reason. And I explained this to a gentleman about that, and a lot of people just use lemongrass in general. So I was like, well, I can use the lemongrass. We're not promoting, any of the 4 products that are on the market, far as I guess, I don't want to say chemical base, because all the lures, let me take this back. The recipes that I have found on the internet, are just basically kind of a derivative. Is that the word? They're derived from lemongrass.
Yeah.
Far as getting down and breaking the chemical compounds down into one singular deal. And nosing on the internet, I had found an article on, who was it? Schmidt
And
Stone. These 2 gentlemen back in the mid 1980s. Some of y'all might probably even already read the article, but these 2 dudes were doing research on the Africanized bees down in Mexico, and they was trying to figure out what would be the best compounds to use for a lure. And they used, I have to go through here in a minute. Let me see my book. Like I said, I'd done this probably a week before ever even running up on the long lasting stuff that I had found on a bee forum. And the basic chemical compounds that were found by Schmidt and Thone back in the 80s was
do you have the link saved on the computer?
For what tonight?
No. Jeremy, do you mean the link to the study he was just talking about, or the article? He just said, Hannah, you got the link.
Oh,
I'm not sure which link. I think he means that one.
If I'll try to. I think it's on my cell phone. If not, I will leave it in the description after we go off tonight. If anybody wants to do the read, it was a pretty interesting read. The 2 fellows went down there. They set up swarm traps, and they used a 1-to-1 ratio of this, a 1-to-1-to-1 ratio of something else. Then they used, I believe it was lemongrass, but all the derivatives pretty much that I have found.
Oh, no, Jeremy. He said he sent one.
Oh, he sent a link?
What, did you email it, Jeremy? Oh, his video. Okay, I got, look, man, I hadn't had enough coffee this evening. He's talking his little one playing in the mud. that
Oh,
he was talking about swimming in the mud puddles.
if you want to send it to us at the email at gunlinebees@gmail.
Well, I guess he said I sent the link for the video.
Oh, okay. All right.
I'll check the email as soon as we get off, Jeremy. But thank you for that.
We'll get caught up. We'll catch up to y'all. We promise. It's been a long weekend, but anyway, you can go through and look at what Schmidt and Thone wrote down in their deal, and they got a chart where they had come back and done some research in Louisiana, and it was down in New Orleans, Baton Rouge area, and there was 2 other places where they had done the study. And in their little Grafton chart, it's got we call X amount of swarms off the citral, geranial, and what was the other one? Neuralic acid. And they mix their own stuff up and done the test. But apparently from making their own concoction, the citral, geranial, and the neuralic acid, but apparently from what I found out, you can't hardly find the neuralic acid. I guess you got to be some kind of scientist or somebody to get that stuff. But all those chemical compounds are found in lemongrass. So that's when it started coming together in my head of, well,
and DC's kind of having.
what's the matter?
No, DC, nobody is like seriously giving a hard time or anything. Just we kind of heard a few comments here and there that gave us the impression we might have ruffled feathers or something, but no, we just kind of wanted to, I guess, clear the air on that wasn't our intention. We just thought it was cool and it could help people that don't have a lot of extra money, and we just kind of threw it like our little beetle back in the beetle juice we made. Just, I mean, it's just part of what we're doing, and we just kind of threw a video together. But take a deep breath, buddy. Nobody's going crazy.
No, I perceived it as it was kind of as if I was given a bit of false information, the way I'd taken it. And from what I've looked at, and from what, like, you can go back to these bee journals, the 1800s, and you can go back centuries, in which whenever you put a swarm trap up anyway, you're using wax. People have used propolis tinctures to spray in there to give it a little bit more. Going through and using, so if you used old brood comb, the added benefit with using old brood comb, you have the footprint in the comb of where, bees have already been over this. And I contacted a gentleman that is well advanced in the beekeeping world, and many of us know him, but I'm not going to mention him on things. But, asked him and said, look, if I melt this wax down, if I melt it down at a low temperature and not have it at, a boiling temperature, if you will, but if we melt it down, will it still keep the footprint of the bees on there? And he's like, no, Tim, as soon as it gets hot, it's gone. But it'll keep the wax smell and all this good stuff, so on and so forth. And so just kind of went and built off of that. But just wanted to clear the air on that, if you will.
I'm sorry,
Oh,
the
okay.
stupid heart's in the way. I can't read your comment.
He's saying that that's not what he meant. It just people get ruffled for no reason these days. It's like how they treat Bob with peppermint, stuff like that. Makes me grumpy. Well, well, like Earl. Earl, out of the goodness of his heart, he come on and he's telling everybody about peppermint and how to get rid of the hive beetles and the peppermint will work. And a lot of folks shunned him and wouldn't listen to him. Well, we were one of the many that didn't, you know, because we have beetle infestations. We have been through everything in the book that we could find. You know, we took landing boards off because beetles only, beetles don't hover, so they couldn't land on the board. And
Yeah, we were trying everything we could get our hands on.
beetle traps, we made beetle beetle traps with the CDs and diatomaceous earth, and y'all. I mean, we went through everything. Then whenever Earl come out telling folks about the peppermint, it was like, well, I mean, we've tried everything else, so let's see if this works. And lo and behold, it works. And unfortunately, sometimes for us smaller channels, if this is just me and my opinion, that, you know, if somebody tries to give you some good, solid information, either one or two things, somebody wants to see the science, okay, or, well, they're a small beekeeping channel, they don't know what they're talking about. Well, you don't know how long these people have been keeping bees before they ever come on YouTube. And you don't know who their mentors were going into that passed that information along to them. But thankfully, it's Earl's idea on the peppermint is gradually starting to pick up in pace, and people are taking notice.
Would y'all stop?
Kids are acting up.
Oh my gosh.
Jasper's
The
been in
kids
puppy
are
prison all
acting
day.
up. Hey, Larimore.
But
Sorry, derailed.
well, I mean, that's it, Bob. It takes trying new things again to change what's going on. And it's one of them. If Earl would have been a bigger YouTuber, that, like I said, once again, just me and my opinion,
people might listen to him more.
Well, they'd have took off with it because, well, so and so said this and this works. And y'all, I don't believe in any way that Earl wants to or has intentions just the same as us to lead anybody wrong. If you see anything that come across our channel to the point of, I'm a bar from Mr. Mike Berry, how we do. I'm going to do my research on things before I post anything instead of, hey, I heard, butterscotch works good keeping mice out, we'll say.
But y'all, at the same time, on that, we ain't never claimed we've got how-to videos. Like, this is just how we do it videos kind of thing.
Yeah, very much bar from Mr. Mike Berry on that end.
Yeah.
So, with all that being said, clear the air.
Yeah.
All that kind of good stuff. Let the dust settle, and we'll move on.
Yeah.
But you just got the phone going over there with comments.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How much time we into? An hour?
I can't read them.
All right. I tell you what. Before I get to reading,
are we out of focus, TC?
are we out of focus?
It looks like it.
It may be just no. We're good on the cell phone.
Oh, it's blurry on the cell phone.
Is it?
Yeah.
Here, let me try this if this works. Bingo. Did that fix it?
Mm, I don't know. Did that fix it?
We back.
maybe. I hope so.
It's probably the phone trying to catch up from being out of service way up there.
Yeah, my phone has been battling for signal of any kind for 3 days.
Nope, didn't fix it.
Are we still
Okay, good.
out?
I don't know why in the
No,
world that thing.
Larimore, that ain't no jokes on you, man.
So it looks like low signal.
Yeah,
Here, let me try to move that puppy around. See if it'll
it says it's got signal, though.
5G something. Maybe
It's
that'll
still blurry. I don't know, y'all.
typical gun line fashion here.
What just happened?
I don't know. Maybe it'll come on back through in a second. Tell you what. Let me try this. Let me put the link up. No.
You gotta hit guess first and copy.
I'll invite myself in. See if that'll clear it up. I hope it does. I don't know why that thing just all of a sudden went to doing that mess.
Oh, hey, Mr. Mark. I can't read your comment, but
Let's see if we can get it remedied, y'all. Bear with us.
Philip said, can you just blur Tim? I don't know what's going on, y'all. Like, this phone's been struggling all weekend.
I'm afraid if I refresh it,
Then it's gonna
it'll kick
kill
us
the
out.
stream.
Yep. Will it do that, Lee, if I refresh? I'm pretty sure it will. I tell you what.
I don't
The
know
link's
if
in
it'll
here.
kill us or not.
All right. Do that. Yeah.
Okay. Maybe it'll straighten up
I tell you
soon
what. Somebody wants to jump in real quick,
and see.
and that way that'll keep the chat open. Then we'll get into the drones and beekeeping. You ain't got to stay if you don't want to, just long enough to try to refresh this thing.
That was quick.
All right. Oh, yeah. He's all over that
Someone
one.
else's phone.
There we go.
I love you guys. I'm not mad
Yeah.
at you guys at all. I applaud the fact that you made the lure. That doesn't bother me.
Oh,
Not
deep breath, Bob.
at all.
Hang on just a second. We gotta get the. Hang on with your. Is it
You guys are just
audio
pixelated a little bit.
settings?
Try that.
Can you
Much
hear me?
better. Let me see if I can do that
Lee
on the
said
camera.
point one hand to the left and hold your toes to the right. That might work.
No. Matter of fact, just for people that know, I'm not upset at all. You and I talked about the whole swarm lure thing on the phone.
Is it working now?
We
Yeah,
still
you're
blurry?
You look better now with Hannah. Gunline's Hannah on there.
Hannah?
That's what it
Do
says
what?
on your name. Gunline's Hannah.
Seriously?
That's what your name
supposed
says.
to be a flag.
Oh, I forgot to take the Hannah part off on. She did the live yesterday.
Oh, you didn't.
I forgot to edit. All right. You're good at talking. So carry on for a minute. We'll jump right back in.
Too good at talking is what most people say. The
Well, he meant like we're gonna try to refresh the camera and see.
no, it looks good to me right now.
Oh, okay. Well, all right.
Looks good on YouTube as well.
Okay, we're back in service then. Disregard, y'all.
Right.
All right.
Oh, there's
Y'all come on in.
Yeah, you and I talked on the phone about the lure that you were going to make with the wax and everything. I think it's a great idea.
Mm-hmm. Well, I appreciate you coming on and kind of clearing that up there.
You know, that you didn't hurt my feelings. I mean, I didn't take it any kind of way. For some
really
YouTube loves drama for some reason. I don't understand it.
Well, YouTube does, but we don't. You know what I mean? We ain't.
I mean, above anything, if I've got a problem, and Tim, you know this, I'll pick up the phone and call you.
Well, that's what I would much rather somebody do. Call me, or if you ain't got my number, email me. We can talk about it and remedy this situation. That ain't no problem.
As long as we have phone signal.
Yeah.
I don't have no problem. So it comes down to this, right? We talked about this yesterday. I think it might have been on Ed's stream where it was everybody is at different places, right? Whether some people like to build boxes, I don't. Some people like to make their swarm lures and stuff. It's about what you want to do. It has nothing to do with anything else. It doesn't matter to me. I mean, there's other swarm lures in wax blocks that people are selling, and it doesn't.
That's what was throwing me off. I was like, yo, we're not trying to compete. Like, we're not trying to sell
the video. Hey, we're not looking to sell this. We're just showing you what we're doing.
Yeah.
There ain't nothing wrong. I mean, prime example. It's
free.
What y'all were talking about earlier made 100% sense because we were talking about this the other day as well. At least it makes sense to me. It depends who says something, unfortunately, right? Like you were saying, if you're a big YouTuber and you say something, or a big beekeeper and say something, it's okay. But if Bob puts something out there, oh my goodness, we can't do that. There's no papers, there's no documentation. And we've been talking about this Appy tablet for a year, guys. I've been getting slaughtered in posts and on YouTube videos.
Has it been a year?
Well, since September, right? So, but lo and behold, today in the American Journal, Randy Oliver puts up a post about extended release thymol and how over a 3-week period has a 98% efficacy on killing varroa mites. Now it'll be the next best thing since sliced bread, right? Because now there's some documentation and it's in a publication and everybody is wonderful. But if Bob says it and he shows you that the mites are dead, right? I don't know. This is what's happening for me. Nobody wants to believe that, right? So that's the crazy part. So, but yeah, guys, I'm totally. I mean, we sat down. I ate y'all's connected sausage. What you talking about? We're friends now.
At least you said it right. Some folks they say, "I love that Conica." It was like,
I probably said it like that for the first little bit until I kept getting corrected.
I've just told them, y'all need to go back where you came from till you learn how to speak our language.
Randy Oliver used it in some homicide or something like that, some kind of wood block, but it was the same thing. He did it as extended release. But the principle's the same, right? And I think he said that it was I actually posted it up on the photos of it on the Facebook group there from No Life Beekeepers. So it was very interesting because same thing with the peppermint. You talk about the peppermint, everybody boo-booed it, right? Because why? Because they didn't want to try it. But the people that tried it all said, well, hey, yeah, my beetles are less, right? Now, the only problem I had with the peppermint wasn't the actual peppermint. It was Bob, because Bob was too lazy to unwrap all them peppermints and put them in all them boxes all year long. That was the problem with the peppermint, was Bob. So, and so that's the thing that's so challenging for me on YouTube, is because my persona, if you will, when you're on YouTube, people get to know you just like you're their neighbor, right? But they don't know any of your prior experiences, what brought you to where you are now, right? What I don't promote my education all day, every day before I put up a YouTube video when I'm talking about a tablet, even though I know about it. Swarm lure, right? Tim, you did research. It's not that hard to find out what's in swarm lure. You could make all the swarm lure you wanted to make, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I did it and marketed it to compete directly against another product, right? So nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with what y'all's doing. They don't infringe on each other.
No, because we're not trying to, like, we had no intentions of, like, trying to build a business off of it. I was just like, y'all, we're just talking about something we found.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's nothing wrong with it at all. I mean, even guys, this is the second year I've been doing my swarm lure. I'm not rich. I'm not making like this mountain of money. You can matter of fact, I challenge you. If you think I'm rich, go on to Amazon and look up my swarm lure and look how many I've sold in the last month. And then look how many swarm commanders sold in the last month. They sold.
I don't even know how to do that, Bob.
Well, it'll say underneath that in the like 500 plus sold in the last month, right on the 200 plus sold or 900 sold, and Bob will say 50 sold. You know, we're not on the same playing field there because I don't dump tons and tons of money in advertising. You know, I don't. So, and as far as like the propolis and the wax, that's exactly what you want in a swarm trap. I've said it over and over again. When you are baiting a swarm trap, all a swarm lure does is get those scouts to find it and check it out. Whether or not they move in it is totally up to, the size. It could be the direction, could be the location. It could be a lot of different things. So anything that helps that's a win.
Well, and on that, if you look in the library of medicine, if anybody's in, all right, I guess any new beekeepers in here, I guess we'll highlight real quick the whole point purpose of whether, no matter what you're using for a swarm lure, whether it's if you're old school and you want to stick to your lemongrass, if you want to use swarm commander, you want to use swarm rustler and all that. The sole purpose is you're trying to mimic the pheromone from the nasonoph gland.
Right.
Like I say, this is for the newer people coming in. The nasonoph gland is on the behind. See what I did there?
The behind.
The behind. And they emit this pheromone out of that gland, and they flap their little wings around, and that disperses the pheromone throughout, whether it's a log or a box that you have sitting out there. They're leaving a scent trail. Then they go back, most of y'all probably know, even beginner beekeepers, the little waggle dance. They'll do their little waggle dance, tell everybody, hey, look,
come check this out.
300 feet down the road on the left, there's a fine oak tree up there. You need to check it out.
Down church.
That's it. Then they'll go back and forth, and eventually they'll choose a spot, and that's where the swarm would go to, and that's where home is made. And that's all you're trying to do is just mimic that smell. And
to get them to recognize, hey, this is a place, right? Whether or not they take that place. I had a guy come down yesterday, and he came specifically to pick up some Appy tablets, and he bought some honey. And we got talking about swarm lures, and he says, well, I've been using Swarm Commander. How does it compare to yours? And I'll tell him the same. They're about the same. And if they ask me about y'all's, I would say they're about the same, because all they do is get bees to find the place. It doesn't mean you're going to catch a swarm. That means it's going to show them where the place is, right? Hopefully you do. That's the goal.
They still got to make a decision whether they're going to stay there or not.
Right. So you had that, right? You sprayed it in the box. Bees came there. They decided, maybe this isn't the box we want, right? And then they leave. It happens. It's just getting them to identify. Hey, and I just wanted to show you guys today that I was so impressed with Ed's haircut
haircut?
that I shaved it. I got tired of the little Krusty the Clown look I had in the front, so I just zipped it all off. But yeah,
the bees don't get caught in your hair that way either.
What do you say, Chris?
But
how's
yeah,
everybody doing?
Doing good, man. How you feeling? I know you were sick for a while.
I had multiple blood clots in my lungs.
Well, that's not good.
Put me on blood thinners. I'm doing much better.
Good.
All the prayers, like I said. Thanks for all the prayers, everybody.
Play the chicken song with you so awfully the waggle here.
Jasper waggled his way right up in the camera there. He must have heard he's not sitting down.
We heard somebody's voice.
He missed everybody.
Yeah, y'all had me locked up for 12 hours. What's wrong with y'all?
Mm-hmm.
All right, mister.
But I heard you guys talking about swarm lures, and I'm like, yeah, I like them.
Yeah, it's like anything, guys. I mean, nobody reinvented the wheel on anything, right? I mean, it's just another way to do another thing, and it is what it is. I mean, I don't get offended by it. I mean, trust me, my lawyer's not sending you a letter like a similar swarm company did to me.
Hey, he better send it certified. That's the only way you get it back, Jack.
So yeah, I'm totally not.
Have all four get up and do the waggle down.
I'm all waggled out today. That fooling with that hot hive was enough for me today.
Yeah, I ain't got enough energy for that, at least. That ain't happening tonight.
Well, I want to contain them in that box, but they had swarm cells. So I went ahead and split the swarm cells out into nuke boxes. So I'm going to ask you guys. You guys are outside the box thinkers. All right. So
I don't know. I kind of agree with Sarah. She said I'm an inside the box thinker. It's cooler in here.
Well, here's the thing. So it's pretty much, I would say, common knowledge, at least most people will say, that a queen will not mate with her own drones. Which means if you have a hot colony that's pulling off a queen, it's not going to mate with her hot drones. It would mate with your cooler, more gentle drones, if that's the hotter one, right? So wouldn't that, in fact, make her offspring less aggressive than her?
Let me catch up with you.
Well, I think it had to do with the fact of what drones mated with the original mother, because if it could carry recessive or it could be dominant depending on what she breeds with.
Right, but if all of my queens from last year that I replaced, right, that was not one of my queens. That was one of my nuke queens that I got. But if all of the ones that I grafted last year are gentle, and their drones will be the drones that are mating with this mean new queen, right, this mean genetic line, would that not, in fact, make her offspring less aggressive than the mother because they're going to have genetics from less aggressive drones?
I'm thinking it's 50-50. Depends on what
maybe.
I'm trying to find a piece in here because that's where we
like you said, it's whatever the recessive gene is.
All right, bear with me. In the Bee Journal, this one was volume 18, number 26. I think it was around 1881. It's a long. I didn't know everybody was going to come in this evening. That's why I was trying to find something to drag out the evening. But since we're in here, we'll just kind of highlight what's going on, especially since we're on drones. But the fella was wanting to know, are drones just useless in the colony, or is their only function to go out, mate with the queen, and then that just be the end of it. But are drones
Right.
actually useful within the colony? But getting on to the queens, there's a little bit part here. I don't know if it helps or not, but without reading everything, maybe we can catch up to where we're going to go with it. But it says scientists in theory hold the drones of pure queens will be themselves pure, regardless of how the queens were mated. But many beekeepers of long and close observation have of the late years cited many expectations to the rule. We have often thought there is much yet to learn. Let me scroll up. Y'all know us. Regarding drone production and their functions in the hive, it sometimes seems almost improbable that nature would be so lavish with drone, what was that word again? Progeny, if only was conducive to the prosperity of conducive to the prosperity or perpetuation of the colony while the queen while the queen progeny upon which existence itself depends should be also exceedingly limited, and the instinct of these first emerging should appeal her to immediately destroy all possibility of succession. So if I lost you, I can go back and read those first couple sentences.
Well, originally they thought that they would just be pure, right? Is what that's saying, and then people started saying, well, maybe that's not the case. So, I mean, from what we've gathered recently, is that they say that the drone genetics are really from the grandparents of the queen, because drones don't have a father. So it takes an extra year for those genetics to come through. So the ones that I mated last year, those queens drones in my yard would have the calmer genetics from the hive that I grafted that queen from. Now, these mean queens that I split off today, supposedly they won't mate with their own drones from their own colony, right? Which would have that mama genetics in it. So they would be mating with more gentle drones. So hypothetically, her offspring may not be calm, but they should be calmer than that current hive. And if not, it doesn't matter, because I'm replacing them all when I get my Jose queens. I just don't have those yet, which is why I'm not wiping that colony out, because I can use all of those resources in that hot colony to split and put gentle queens with to expand.
Are those mated queens already, or are they virgins?
No, the ones I'm getting from Jose will be mated.
Okay, so you're not going to have to worry about drones from your area, period, with the new queens.
Hanley asks a good question there. It says, that's correct, Bob. However, do you know that it's your drone she's mating with? No. However, I don't know of any other beekeepers that are right within my 2-mile radius from me. And
I have some wild ones.
Yeah, and if they are, they're probably wild ones that passed off of my swarms from
right.
the last 6 years. So, yeah, there's no guarantee on that. But if not, regardless, they're going to get replaced. I just don't, a lot of people are like, I would just kill that hive. Well, no, I want that hive because it has an abundance of resources I can split. And that's what the goal is. So,
have you noticed where your drones are congregating at to mate at, though? Because yours go 2 miles, and other bees could be coming from 2 miles from the other direction.
It's true.
Up in the
center. I have no idea where that congregation area is. No idea. But
mine is over my apiary now.
What's that?
Mine is over my apiary now.
Oh, they
come I got the most hives. Yeah.
I saw somebody on Facebook post there was a swarm like 40. It was somewhere around Charleston today. I almost tagged in it, but by the time I saw it, it was later. Are you going for the ring? Are you going for the championship?
I gotta get that swarm lure so I can make videos with it.
I think it's buffering.
Yeah,
I threw the other bottle away.
Now, Bob, if you did like Corey and you did IA or AI, do AI. I'm sorry, I got dyslexic.
That's like me calling them the VHS queens.
Well, if you took your own drones from the calm hives and use their semen to inseminate queen, there's a high possibility you're gonna have a lot calmer.
Right.
It still depends on recessives and what shows up in that mating process from those drones. What's in their background, but you can control it a little better than if you just let them open mate.
Lee said he uses IA for VSA or VHS. Yeah, it's so yeah, I mean, the thing is that insemination equipment is like really expensive. I could buy a ton of queens for that much money, right?
Yep.
So
well, I mean, that's the way to control it. That's all I was saying,
Yeah. As far as being able to control what drones that she's mated with, but at this point, even if you make, let's say, 4 splits, if you get 50% back, you're only dealing with 2 nukes, right? And the fact that they're nukes is going to make them calmer anyway because they're small. So I did have my first queen that I split off. The cell, it came back and it's mated and marked and it's laying now. Not very good though. I mean, she did lay up a bunch of cells, but then I looked at the pictures I took because I'll often just take a photo and then go in and blow it up so I can look in the cells. Some of them were just kind of like laying on top of the comb, and some of them were right in the comb. I mean, they look good, and then some of them might have got stuck on her butt, and she put it on the cell
side.
there. Huh?
On the side of the cell.
Yeah, well, it was actually on top of the comb, like the honeycomb. It was like laying on top. I'm like, well, that's not good. Maybe she's just retarded queen. I don't know. It could be.
Well,
that's an ugly word, Bob.
I had one return, mated queen return. I thought there was something wrong. I thought maybe it was a drone layer is what I thought it was, or a working layer, and a worker laying queen bee in the hive. Because I was getting multiple eggs in the cells. They look like doggone, like when you cut down the trees and they lay in all different directions in the bottom, with like 3 or 4 eggs in the cell. And I'm like, okay, something ain't right. Well, it was, she was trying to figure out how to lay, and I happened to catch her, her mistakes.
Okay, I got a question for everybody.
Go ahead, Chris.
How can a laying not a queen, but you're having a laying bee,
laying worker?
Yep. How can she have fertile eggs if she's not mated?
They're not.
How do they become live if they're not mated?
They don't.
They do. They're drones.
They come out drones.
Drones is a live bee.
Right, but
so how can they be live if
so are you
they're
talking
not
about
fertile?
a drone laying queen or a laying worker queen or bee?
Just a laying worker bee.
So a laying worker bee,
she has to be fertile to have a live egg. Otherwise, they're just dead eggs. Because if that's the case, you can manipulate the cell. When that laying worker lays an egg, you can manipulate that cell just enough with your pen to angle the cell down to make it look like a queen cell, and they'll make a queen cell out of that one egg. It's proven. You can do it. But does it come out a live queen, or what does it come out as? I haven't seen that yet.
Well, I've read that how the laying worker happens is, if you don't have a queen in the hive, you no longer have that pheromone footprint of a queen, which inhibits the ovary production on the worker bees. And one that happens to mature first, she starts laying eggs, is what I understand. And that's how she takes dominance in the hive.
Well, I got all that, but how is the egg fertile? They can't be fertile if she's not pregnated.
No.
So you can't have a live drone because that's a live egg. Otherwise, it would be a dead male. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it's like a human being fertile and not being fertile.
Jeremy Hartzog says a fertile egg is a worker, an unfertile egg is a male. All workers could have been a queen. They make drones to keep their genetic footprint alive via laying worker to keep their line going. Okay. So the only the female bees are, I guess, have sperm injected in.
Right. But they have to be injected with sperm to lay a live egg.
And that, what Jeremy just said makes sense because I've asked the question before. Can a drone layer that's just laying drones, right? Can those drones actually fertilize a queen? Can they mate a queen?
Inside the hive, if you lock them up, yes.
What if they just mature and fly out? Can they do it then?
I don't know. But they can if you lock them up inside the same hive. My mentor's done it. He just puts a non-fertile queen inside a box, puts a whole bunch of drones in there, their own drones, and within 3 days, she's pregnated.
I guess technically, Chris, yes. You have to somebody that really knows the science, I guess. But technically, yes. In my opinion, trying to see what you say, that okay, that worker, she has all the working products as a queen. She has all the female stuff to lay an egg, just the same as a chicken. All right, you're not going to have biddies unless that egg they're fertile, but the chicken is still laying an egg. All right, so to a point, yes, I would say that the worker is fertile enough to lay a drone. But in order for her to make worker bees, she has to be mated, and that process take over for her to be enabled to have a worker bee and be able to separate the drone from the worker. Just the same way as a queen bee, she can decide, okay, on this cell here, I'm going to lay a fertile egg. Okay, we know coming from a queen, that's going to be a worker. All right, well, she goes across the comb over there to a drone cell and her reproductive system, and she knows how to run it. All right, this time instead of laying a fertile egg, I'm going to lay a drone in here. Yet, to create life, there's got to be a portion of fertilization somewhere in order to create life.
We left you a comment on that.
What?
Hey guys,
Apis mellifera, unfertilized eggs normally develop into haploid males by Archaeopteryx. I don't know what you talking about with all that, Lee. But I ain't fixing.
That's from Google. That's the Google answer. That's got to be a Google answer.
My goodness, that's a mouthful. Whatever that means.
Y'all can read the word and know what it says.
Parthenogenesis.
Yeah, but look, Wes made. That's a new name. But welcome in. Hey, I've never seen your name before, but he said the laying worker can lay. The egg is not fertile for a drone. The queen can lay both fertile and non-fertile eggs at her discretion, but laying workers don't have that option.
Okay, there's Wes.
But see, that doesn't well, you know, God works in different ways. But I tell you right now, you can't have a live bee if the eggs are not fertile.
Well, I mean, Philip's saying though, not in the bee world, fertilization is not required for a drone.
Show me that in God's writings.
I don't know. I'm just trying to keep up with the conversation because I don't have that answer. I can guarantee you that.
I mean, that's almost like
I've got to run, but I love y'all.
All right, man.
Later, Bob.
Talk to y'all later. Have a good evening.
It's just one of those questions that's puzzled me since I started beekeeping. It's just like,
well, you said that
don't
means
make sense.
a form of asexual reproduction.
That's a biology thing.
But what happens if you put that worker lays an egg? Not supposed to be fertile, but it has to be fertile to have a live bee. But say it's not, and you manipulate the cell, and you can manipulate the cells that the queen lays in to make it look like a queen cell starting. So they'll make a queen cell out of it. Now, will that come out as a big ass drone, or a big working non-fertilized bee?
I'd just like to know how we got down this rabbit hole.
Because we're talking drones. And drones are useless in the hive, except for mating. That's all their job is.
I'm sure there's other things that they do that we're not aware of. Because if you don't have drones, you don't have a healthy hive.
DC said, yeah, I watched a documentary on worms.
Oh, yeah. Well, on that.
Oh, because Russell said.
And going into some of that.
Good answer, Mark. I don't know if a drone is fertile to mate with another queen.
Well, imagine if it's a drone.
How can it be fertile if it was a non-fertile egg?
Well, that'll be the same way as if a queen lays a drone, because technically it's an unfertile egg.
I think they changed the chemical of the stuff they feed the different, because they changed the food for a worker bee. Basically changed it to a queen because she gets that royal jelly. So I have a feeling they changed the chemical of the food that they give to the drone. That's my thinking.
Yeah, but a virgin queen and a worker are not, and a laying worker are not the same thing. That's what DC's saying.
No, because she has the apparatus to fertilize.
Yeah.
A queen does.
Yeah.
A worker, a laying worker, does not have the extra, let's say, birth, or whenever it passes through, because the way I've looked at it, there's two different points of the fertilization inside that queen. There's the portion of where she can decide, okay, this is going to be a drone, or I'm fixing to lay a slab of workers up in here, and she can decide every single one of those will be a worker. But to a point, I see what you're saying, Chris, on the. But you're going to have somebody smarter than me on that end to lay out the biology and science and of how that whole process of, okay, we'll say fertile or unfertile, or however you want to use the language of how the process works when it comes down to the nuts and bolts of things. Well, we got the chat rolling with this one, don't we?
Yeah, look, all I got to say about that is Jesus knows what he's doing a whole lot better than we do, even when we don't understand all of it.
Okay, here's our biologist and scientist coming in.
I love that introduction. No, I was looking for the video I watched on the lady that did the super detailed job on queens, and she had a microscopic view of the spermatheca, and it's a perfect sphere. Okay, and if it's full of sperm, it's cloudy, and if it doesn't have any sperm in it, it's clear. So the way they say it works, Chris, is that she chooses based on the size of the cell to either release some sperm into that egg and make a worker, or she holds that sperm back and lays an egg and makes a drone.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I get that, but
And
how can you have a live insect without being fertile egg? I'm a bug man, and I have never seen it in my entire 20 years of doing pest control. Ants don't do it; they have to be fertilized also.
Well, I mean, we was even saying like lizards. Some of them
Lizards have to be
don't have
fertilized.
to be. The lizards are all female, and their eggs develop into embryos without fertilization. But not all of them. God just designed some of them different.
He said, I'm going to do this. So the night they have that bee chat,
y'all.
Ask 500 million
I'm going to get their heads a spinning.
But I'm like Ed. You know, how can the male be fertilized if he's not fertilized?
How can he be fertile? How can he produce sperm? Is that what your question
Exactly.
is?
If he's not,
I'm not sure. I'm not sure they're the same thing. I mean, it's somebody said it was one chromosome or two. It's just one chromosome.
Diploid.
Yeah, that doesn't mean he can't produce sperm. It just means that he only has the genetics of his mother and everybody she's derivative from, of course.
Mm-hmm.
It'll just be one of those questions that always ponders me.
Well, we can get in. Go ahead, Phil.
Let me ask you this, Chris, because to me that's one of the miracles of bees is that they do things that we don't really understand. It's amazing to me that the bees can actually make a queen just based on how they feed her. To me, that's as much of a miracle as anything.
I'll be right back.
You know, they can be sitting there without a fertilized mother and then say, well, we're just going to make ourselves another one. That's incredible. No, I don't know that any other animals do that.
Fish can change their sex if there's no males.
I think hyenas carry both sex organs. Also,
all right, Mr. Larry, clear the air for us.
Larry's got all the answers. Come on, Larry.
There comes the biologist.
I'm gonna let y'all have this conversation for a minute. I'm going to get coffee.
Yeah, I popped in late. I was strapping down the truck and I missed most of the conversation. But the female honeybee is the same egg for a female, or where the worker or a queen is identical. So she's got all the ovary ducts, she's got the spermatheca, she's got everything she needs. Yeah. But after 3 days, they restrict a diet, and that changes things down there. And it doesn't stop them from being able to lay an egg. And that egg, well, it's my understanding that egg will be alive and can turn into a bee. Now, I've seen laying workers where they just lay a ton of eggs. They can't get all the way to the bottom of the cell, but if they tried to make that egg into a bee, it would be a drone bee, from what I understand about it, because the queen she measures the cell. She'll either say, yeah, it's too wide for a worker. She'll lay an unfertilized egg. If it's a worker size, then she lays an egg and fertilize it. And that's how you have your worker or drone bee. So, like I say, I've seen a lot of drone laying queens, and I've seen some laying workers. I don't usually let them get that far along to have laying workers, but when you have one, it's extremely difficult to get rid of her because the pheromone that she puts off starts acting like a queen, basically. But she's shooting blanks that they're live because the drone is from the female only. She doesn't have any sperm of any sort to make that into a live bee. That's why a drone layer, as far as a queen, when she runs out of sperm, then she starts laying drones. Even though she thinks she's laying a worker, she doesn't have the necessary equipment to do that because she's out of sperm at that point.
Right, and also I've had I guess my first year I was really trying to save a laying worker hive, and I let them go too far, and it ended up being almost all drones in there. But those drones were smaller than the drones that you normally see because they didn't develop because they were in those smaller size cells. And I've heard someone say that they suspect that those drones, it's an attempt to pass on their genetics, but it's highly unlikely that they do pass on their genetics because those drones aren't typically as healthy as the drones in a healthy colony. They probably wouldn't be able to compete very well in the drone congregation area. Someone asked how my mom was doing. She's doing good. Earlier, I dropped her up at her house this weekend.
That's good to hear she's coming along, bro.
See, I mean, she's got dementia, so it's it's progressive, but she's 89 years old, and we just deal with it a day at a time, and we're just glad to have her with us still.
My mom is 91, and we're dealing with the same thing. We don't know what world we're going to wake up in, and that not necessarily daily, but hourly, because she can take a nap.
Yeah,
up looking for babies.
That's it. That's exactly right. What my mom's going to.
We deal with that.
Especially when she gets tired, it gets worse.
Absolutely. After 4 o'clock, sundowners kicks in, and it's kind of frustrating because you tell her something, 2 minutes later she calls you again. Go through the same process. We may do that 4 or 5 times a night. So.
Right. Yep.
Mr. Larry, can you see DC's question there?
I don't see any questions.
Okay.
Let me see.
It was saying, and I was asking for Harris. He just wondered if he could force drone laying queens to make drone factories.
I would think no. And the reason I say that is because I guess they may. If only cells you gave them were drone cells, I guess you could. But if drone layer, if she runs across a regular cell, she's gonna throw one in it. Like I say, I've been back to hives before that. Apparently, after I left, the drone layer pretty quick because it's completely full of drones, but they are the ugly little bitty drones. They could not compete in a of trying to mate with. Queen doesn't get attractive until she gets up in the air. She's not attractive. That's why when she leaves the hive, she flies low until she gets away from her family members before she flies up into the drone congregation yard. Normally, that's not right out of hive anyway. So.
Yeah.
Deb, we will keep y'all on the prayer list. We sure hate to hear about your mama there. Go ahead, gentlemen.
Sorry to hear that. Yeah, and Mike, I think everybody says that the queen really doesn't determine what she determines specifically what she's going to lay there, but the workers move her around to where they want her to be, and they decide where they're going to put drone cells and build worker cells. So she has a little bit of a discretion, but he'd have to convince the workers to play along with that if he wanted her to be a drone factory.
Yeah, I just noticed on my frames, all the drones are on the exterior of the actual brood frame. They put them on the outside of them.
All right, if you wanted to take and we'll take the queen out of the equation and just say we'll go back to the laying worker. Then could you just all right? We'll say we're going to do a 2-frame split, if you will. You take just sheets of brood that are capped and add a frame of open cell. You know, it'll be even better, especially if you got drone cells. That way you could get drone. But could that be a way to do it? To manipulate into just having a laying worker over here off to the side? Or are we going back to where the drones wouldn't be able to produce what they needed to make?
So,
It's
so
hard to do.
you're saying don't give them the option to be able to make a queen?
Yeah, just make a working layer.
Okay, so
I mean,
knock down every
laying
queen
worker.
cell until they're hopeless, and force them into being working laying workers.
Yeah, that way.
Yeah, you would get drones, but like Pastor Larry said, those drones probably aren't going to be able to compete. You'd have to use them like artificial insemination if you were trying to get those genetics, I think.
Okay.
Well, usually the laying worker will lay 4 and 5 eggs. They're so desperate trying to save their
Yeah,
hole to they lay 4 and 5, 6 eggs in one cell, and it's never all the way at the bottom because they can't reach the bottom. So they're on the side of the cell, and it's just not feasible to do that. If you want a drone factory, then use the green drone comb and just throw it in there, and then throw the sugar water to them and let them have at it. A queen will
yeah,
lay plenty of drones. You don't have to worry about having a superior drone. You can do uh, number one, uh, you can do the best drones out there as far as the possibility of having a good drone, but then you got the genetics to deal with. What genetics think you would be getting out of a laying worker as far as would it be violent and would it transfer? Because we know that the meanness of the colony comes from the drones that you made it with. So you definitely, some drone in your good colonies, so you have good solid drones out there to make. That's
yeah. I
as the queen when you
the
pick it.
queen, and also don't think the queen will lay drones if unless everything's just right in the colony. They got to have plenty of food, uh, you know, uh, and they got to have plenty of bees. You know, drones are a luxury. So, but you want, and they seem to me to lay more drones when are getting ready to swarm. They lay a lot more drones. So, you know, restricting their space a little bit, but they still got to have lots of resources before she'll even. Otherwise, she'll just skip over those drone cells. She won't even, and they'll fill them with nectar if she's not laying in them. But they've got to have everything taken care of before she even considers laying drones, in my opinion.
Well, and like you say, the hive. I mean, the queen, she's just a layer. If she don't lay and do right, they'll take her out. They won't put up
Yeah,
with that. I mean, basically, she's an egg layer, and if
right.
conditions are not right, they'll replace her, supersede her, or a baller. They take care of business, trying to take care of themselves, and take the hive forward. So,
Mhm.
uh, drones. I know that especially this time of year when they're wanting to make drones, throw the green comb in there, you're gonna have a ton. You're gonna have a lot anyway. If your comb is kind of warped or swelled out a bit, they get that anyway, or jump off the side and take the fun for them because whenever they realize hey, we've got enough stores coming in. We're good. We have a little bit. We need to get some drones coming. They'll bring them on.
Yeah, I use foundationless frames, and this time of year, it seems like they'll draw them out half drawn cells. It's just, I stick them in there, and it makes me mad a little bit when I put one in there, and it's all drones, because at least 20% of every frame I have has drawn cells in it.
Okay.
Listen, I appreciate that. I'm gonna jump off. Listen, it's good to see y'all, and I'm gonna hunt some supper. I've just come in, got the truck strapped down, ready to head out tomorrow. So,
Yeah, I'm about to jump off too. It's 10 o'clock here. So
Thank you much, Mr. Larry. It's good to see you,
Yep.
Chris. Don't
hey,
be
you guys
scared.
too.
See you later, Chris. Bye, Chris.
Later.
Real quick before we get on anything, was watching Miss T and those gifted memberships. All right, if I understood her correctly, they're good for the month, but the way YouTube has it worked out, that the ones that we gift are the most expensive ones. So if next month, if you decide to continue to be a member, then you can opt out of the most expensive one and go down to, the cheapest one or whatever, whichever one you want to do. But it won't be charged to you if you decide not to do it next month and all that. But, that's fine and dandy. But I just figured out that little option from watching Miss T the other day, and I was like, well, I wonder if we can do it. And so I got to pushing buttons, and sure enough, we can give 10 free memberships a month. So I figured we got this Sunday, then we'll do the other 5 next Sunday. But just take a note or a reminder that if it's something you don't want to do the most expensive one, then, you can click whichever one you want to. It's just kind of a appreciation to y'all. And hopefully, if everything works out this coming weekend, our weekend will be much more settled between just what we have going on in our day-to-day life, that I guess we're not really going to divulge everything, but there's a lot going on in our world right now. So we hope for our members, to try to do like a Saturday morning live chat for an hour or so. And we'll chit chat, open it up, carry on about whatever, we can talk bees, pickup trucks, Ford Fairlane, like old Keith Spillman had. Whatever y'all want to yak about, we'll yak about.
And next Sunday is Easter Sunday.
Yes. And everything works out. We hope to have Pastor Larry back to lead us in
We're gonna have an Easter fellowship, y'all.
Yes.
But we understand everybody that has, family plans, by all means.
Absolutely.
We're not gonna be upset if you don't make it.
Where was you at for our live on Easter?
No.
No.
It ain't gonna be like that. Not at all. But we do hope some of y'all can make it in with us.
But we thought of what better way to have Easter, or, as we're going into Easter. I know many of us will be at church anyhow, but to have Pastor Larry come in and lead us in the Word during that live, and we'll definitely get into beekeeping, but we're going to listen to the Word a little bit.
There's a whole lot about honeybees in the Word of God, y'all.
Going
right.
Well, it's mentioned 60. The word honey is mentioned 60 something times, and I think bees are mentioned. Oh mercy! You get me telling tales. I think 3 to 6 times actually. Bees in there. So.
Oh, we appreciate you, Lee. Very much. He said, I got family for Easter. I got family plans for Easter. I'll be right here with family.
Well, God love you, big Tracy. Yes, sir. That's why we enjoy these fellowships and live chats, just for, well, and to a part,
Fellowship, yeah.
yes, sharing what we have in common, learning from one another. Or, Chris coming in here this evening and throwing
diving
a
down
wild
rabbit
one.
holes with one another.
Well, I got to say one thing though about Tim about that. He may have thrown a live grenade in the midst of us, but he didn't bail out right behind it. He stayed around for a while listening.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I get where he's thinking on that, because I mean, you can ask.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, I agree with that completely.
Yeah,
But
you're
that's
trying to
like
figure out what.
yeah. The way I've always looked at it is it's just one more of those things that is amazing about bees, and that's why I tell people, when I'm telling people about bees, that's one of the first things I go to is that a what is it, a drone has has a grandfather but no father, and then you have to go and explain that how that works. To
I
me, that's
want to
incredible.
know what Joey said about that. He just said, I put that one on my list of questions for when I walk through them pearly gates.
Exactly.
He's like, I'm going to stick with you, Joey.
Yeah, I put that question right up there with the fact that they can make their own queen, which to me just blows my mind. It always will, and I'll never get over that. That you can take the mother away, and then they can make their own mother, another mother, because if you think about them as as a single organism,
Mm-hmm.
the whole hive, that's incredible.
Everything about bees amazes me.
Well, Chris brought up another point too that I was reading through. Y'all, that's why I enjoy going through the bee journal, and especially going back, and I'm more an old soul, if you will, is what folks have called me umpteen dozen times. But I love listening to the old timers, just on anything really. But especially since we gotten into beekeeping, how did you do it? How did your daddy do it? And you hear of how they took and done different things. But he was saying, take a pen and just kind of make that cell a little bit bigger, and it'll create a queen cell. Well, a couple of weeks back, I was reading in one of the late 1800s bee journal of how a lot of them men back in the day would have they would be able to raise hundreds of queens. But according to the article, what they would do is they would find just that little bit of, I'm gonna say, royal jelly or whatever you want to call it, down in that worker cell. There's feed down in there. Well, they would pull that egg out, discard it, mix that jelly up down in there just a little bit, and take the tip of their pinky finger and just kind of push in and make that cell a little bit bigger. Well, whenever they did that, and that queen, whenever she come back, she would lay an egg down. A worker, I'm assuming, because it had to be a fertile egg to be the queen,
Right.
to make a queen.
What's the Bee Journal website?
Everything that I look at on the Bee Journal is through Cornell University and the beekeeping.
Just Google Cornell University, and they've got a whole beekeeping section.
Yeah, just put the beekeeping in there, and it'll all pop up together.
Look, Pastor Larry said, when somebody figures out God, we need to talk.
Yes, sir.
Amen.
I
Amen.
don't think God has any intention on us understanding all of his creation. That's where faith comes in. You just trust him that he knows what he's doing because he set it all up. And that's all I need to know about that.
Hey, Tim, that, you saying that, I've never heard that before, but that makes a little bit of sense because there's some people that talk about the, Oh, what's the method where you push the cell wall down below the eggs, and that'll make them pick that cell to make a queen cell? I forget what that method's called.
Well,
And then there's also
go ahead.
and then there's also the Miller method where you cut a linear strip of eggs, and then you tie them. You cut them off, and you tie them where they're facing down inside of the frame. And they're supposed to pick those because of not because they're bigger, just because of their position. You see what I'm saying? So I could see where if you stuck your pinky in there, especially if you pull down on it a little bit, you've done two things. You've made it a little bigger and you've pointed it down a little bit. So that could trigger
the Alley
something.
method.
Alley method. I know it was a name.
Where well, it may be a modern name, like you was just saying. What'd you say, Miller?
The Miller method is when you cut out a strip and you actually take like fishing line and you tie it vert to where the cells are pointing down on a bar.
Yeah, that's basically the same thing Allie was doing, but you wasn't using the string part, which you got to think this is going back 1800.
Yeah, I mean, you could attach them with some melted wax or some other way.
That's what
the one I saw. He was tying them up.
And apparently that's a good method that they used back then. Between if you read in the Bee Journal, and especially if you go back to we'll say early 1900s down into the late 1800s, you hear Date Ant quite often in there, C.C. Miller, Allie, and some cat named Doolittle.
Right. Oh, and it might be the Doolittle method. Might be, yeah. Doolittle is the one where you push That's exactly right. The Doolittle is where you take your hive tool and you push down the cell wall on the bottom of the cells you want them to use. That's it. The Doolittle method. I'm pretty sure that's it.
I think maybe last year, we ain't seen him in a while, but y'all excuse me. Brad from Cajun Homestead Beekeeping. He was doing that. He was, pushing down and just cutting out one little section of that cell wall or knocking it down.
Right, pushing it down, yeah.
He had queen cells, Buku doing it that way. So if you're interested in something like that, go check out Cajun Homestead and Beekeeping. And he done a video, like I say, I think it was last year whenever Brad was doing that.
Right.
There you go, Joey. You school them.
Notching, y'all. Yes, sir. Uh-oh, wrong button.
All right, buttons.
There we go. Yes. Andy Boo. No mics in the chat.
The reason I came on here was to talk to Chris about the queens, but what I really wanted to come on here, it was to ask if we all have clearance to call her Hannah Boo or not. Or is that just reserved for the...
Normally, I just let the kids call me Hannah.
We're overgrown kids. Come on.
But Danae
We
said
could.
she's going to call me Handy Boo from now on.
We could. That one could stick. That could be as bad as Snot Tub. Handy Boo is Snot Tub.
It's much prettier than Snot Tub.
Snot Tub any day of the week. Any day of the week.
And I got to go in and edit that. I forgot about Miss Hannah up there. Well,
that was all when you Snot Tub.
Yeah. I was in a rush trying to get in here this evening. So like I told you, I'll grab some tea real quick, but we on the way.
This whole weekend we've been running behind.
Yeah.
Man, those azaleas you showed today, that was amazing. And I was looking at it driving on my tiny little phone, and they looked amazing.
Man, that camera, I told my grandma one day when I grow up, I'm going to get a camera that'll do them things justice. But
it was pretty impressive.
They are massive. Like, I wish the camera would really pick up the scale, but like when I was talking about how tall they were, I was holding the camera right in front of my eyes, standing in front of those bushes. I mean, they got to be a foot taller than me.
Rodney
That was pretty
Middleton,
incredible.
is that swarm number 48 for you this year? As many that man catches some swarms.
I see how he catches so many
I've got
swarms.
this caffeine coming Tuesday.
Is that you?
Did you
y'all's
order
coffee chat?
some Death Wish coffee for me? Oh my gosh, I'm gonna die if you did.
Like, not for real, but yeah.
In a good way. Lord knows I could use it tonight. So I told DC, no more rabbit holes. My brain is entirely too caffeine deficient right now. Hey, Lee, you're the bomb, man.
That's awesome, Lee.
That is awesome.
I'll get that in just a second.
We'll do a video on the espresso machine Tuesday.
And use y'all's cups from Lee too, drinking it.
Hey, look, I have been babying that second one since I broke the first one. That is awesome, Lee. I really appreciate that. We're gonna have to figure out some way to get Lee back.
Well, hopefully we're gonna try to get over there, and we'll work a day out with Lee. And we've kind of chewed it over with him a couple times, but go over there and sit in Lee's span and have a chat over there in his old studio.
How much y'all want to bet Jasper will have his own camera for that live?
He can do it too.
Yeah, he'll have his own little director's chair.
I've seen that studio.
I've only seen it on camera, but I'm gonna be a nervous wreck walking around in the room like that. I'm gonna trip over my own feet and knock something over.
Well, the cameras make it look bigger than it really is, but it's pretty decent size.
No, it just looks like there's way too much stuff I could tear up in there.
He's got all them wires tucked back.
DC,
you might be going without Jasper.
Oh
no, Lee, I love you. I gotta bring Jasper home.
That would be an ender right there, Lee.
I might have to fight Miss Renee harder to take him home than
I hadn't seen him Hannah get real mad, but I bet we'd see it.
I try not to go there. I don't like getting mad.
I just keep my mouth shut when that goes.
I do not like it when my Irish blood comes to the surface.
Especially when it's at me, I'm definitely going to keep my mouth shut. But if it's directed towards somebody else, it's one of them. Well, handle it.
Don't even throw a parachute.
Yeah, I'll step in if I need to, but
it's just that.
Carry on.
It's just that knowing. It's just that knowing nod, right, Tim?
Yep.
Yeah. I understand what you're about to go through, buddy. Sorry.
That person.
You ain't fixing to like this, Captain. Go ahead.
Oh,
I see him on the side. Ding, 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 ding. Round one.
Oh man!
But thankfully, she ain't that kind of woman that gets fired up over a whole bunch. It has to be something short.
I think we all have our moments, but
we do. I'm definitely human, but
it's best to keep them suppressed as much as possible.
Well, I was going to say, I know how to push the buttons. That's for sure.
Just not that you don't know how to push the mute button.
No. I ain't even going to attempt that because that just cranks the volume up even more. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, look, I will say this for all the women of the world. I don't know which one of y'all morons dreamed up that just telling an angry woman to calm down solves everything. And
Oh,
he needs to have his head examined.
Oh, I've heard somebody say that before. Oh, you're just a woman. Just calm down. Yeah, that don't work.
That's like waving a red flag at an angry bull.
what was
That's
that thing?
that's just like when you ask a woman what's wrong and she says nothing.
Yeah.
You know
Oh,
it's not
Just a
nothing.
list.
It's more than nothing.
Oh, I
It's like the
guarantee
old
you there's a list behind that.
well, the old. I used to use a reference that like old computers. Bad error or bad file command. The same things a woman. Same things a woman telling you nothing's wrong. There's something wrong.
yeah.
Miss Jan knows what I'm talking about.
But sometimes you may not want to diagnose the problem. You leave that up to somebody else to
There
draw
you
that.
go. That's right. You better call in the IT person.
The IT person.
And I think Robbie Middleton thinks I'm the one that started that to tell a woman to quiet down or calm down.
And a but
All I can say is bless your heart, buddy.
and,
No, that's what Rodney Middleton's saying.
Yeah,
and the reset button don't work.
No, it don't work.
not when you go to that level, it don't. And the escape button don't work either.
Yeah.
Oh,
There was,
DC, I bet it was. But no, I'm still savoring that jar of honey. It's hidden
It is
still.
hidden. We've got everybody's honey on a shelf where we did the unofficial official tasting. All right, it's right behind us over here. The jar DC sent, I have no idea where it's at. And that's
Oh,
the
it's
truth.
well hidden. That was
well,
some came up honey.
Hannah, when I first got married to my wife, I used to be the kind of person that I want to settle. If I had an argument, I'd want to settle it right then. You know,
Mm.
squash it, do what I got to do. Make the amends I might have to make, which usually I do. But um, and that would irritate my wife to no end.
I was
All right,
gonna say I got a comment for that when you get done.
but what
Careful where
happened
you
later
tread.
on is she says, well, just leave me alone. Well, I started leaving her alone. And then she'd get madder at me for leaving her alone. I'm like, what do you want me to do? Do you want me to try to solve the issue or leave you alone? So I
Yeah.
figured out I'd leave her alone for a little bit, let her cool off, then go and revisit it after she's cooled off. And that's
That's
all
a
that's
good
work,
idea.
you know.
That's a good idea. But I will tell you, from a woman's standpoint, if you saying I'm sorry and making amends just to shut her up and move on, it don't count and it don't work.
Y'all think she's trying to tell me something?
So I heard one guy say he said my wife told me I don't want to talk about it. He said, and then just a few minutes later, she comes up to him and says, "Why are you ignoring me?"
Now look, I will say I don't do that. If I tell you to leave me alone, which I've never told him to leave me alone
Really?
ever, but the people I have told that, buddy, you best leave me alone till I can talk to you, or it's gonna be on even worse.
Well, any man has figured out and knows, especially, did I say the married part? Or just say me?
You just said,
All right. Any
You said
married
men.
man, any married man knows, all right, where do I go with this? Do I just back off a few minutes like Ed's talking about, hush up and leave you alone? Or do I just pursue this because you're mad already? You know,
Can't get much worse.
It can't get much worse. So let's just go on and knuckle it out, if you will.
David said my wife wants to. How did we get on marriage?
Yeah,
I
how
mean,
did we get to this?
I don't know nothing. To be honest.
Lee said
Well,
11 years. Him and Miss Renee ain't had a fight yet.
Oh, yeah, right,
You need
right.
to start doing marriage counseling, Lee.
Yeah, you go Dr. Phil off the TV.
I mean,
I
we're making it sound bad, but y'all, we really don't fight that much.
Oh no, we don't.
Right.
Disagree
no.
some, but we really don't fight that much.
Lee keeps crawfish at the house. That's how he keeps that woman over in Louisiana
Yeah,
out of
Lee
jail.
knows how to cook.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I've been married almost 31 years now, and the first 10 were miserable because I wanted to fight all the time. I didn't want to go to bed mad. I wanted to settle it, so it ended up being a fight. But once I reverted back to just meeting at a different time, like the next day or later that day or something, it resolved. I get disagreements, but we don't have fights.
That's it. Like, I don't like arguing. I don't like when we're at odds with each other. That's not us. But DC, you are right. Men and women are wired completely different. And sometimes what is just something that's nothing to a man will really upset a female.
That's why we're so dumbfounded. Why are you mad?
Or why are you
That's
upset?
right. That's
Because you
right.
hurt my feelings, snot tub. That's why I'm upset.
Or you just well, go on and do what you want to do. Well, okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's even worse.
No,
So,
I mean, when I say that, but I mean, we're both like, if we do get in an argument, I mean, me and my Irish temper, it goes for especially, but I'm not one, I will walk away. Just get by myself for 20 minutes and just breathe where I can have a conversation without losing my temper and making it worse. But I don't like that. I don't like drama of any kind, but especially not between me and my husband.
Yeah. Thankfully, we both pretty well on the level of,
a
Well,
wise,
I
a
need to
wise,
take it, but we can work it out.
a long time ago, a wise man once told me. He said there's an old guy. He said, Philip, there's not but two ways to figure out a woman, and he said, don't nobody know either one of them.
that's the truth.
I'm gonna tell you what, though, and a lot of women won't admit this, but I will. Sometimes we don't even know what's wrong with us. I ain't even gonna lie. Sometimes you're just emotional and overwhelmed, and I'm the kind that I'll just let stuff that's stressing me out or bothering me just pile up because I don't like to cry about crap. So I just kind of, white knuckle it, but then it'll be something really, really stupid, like dropping a pie baked in the floor I'll have a meltdown on it. And I don't even know why I'm upset and crying other than I dropped a stupid pie. And that's not a reason to cry.
What was that meme you showed me the other day about the husband and wife? Are you mad, or is it something?
No, it was on the Book of Faces or whatever, but it was a picture of a woman and like she had her arms crossed and her back turned to her husband, and she goes, "I'm mad at you," and the husband goes, "Again or still?" I'm like, that's the wrong thing to say, buddy. I mean, I about fell out of my chair laughing at that. I went in and showed him. I was like, "You gotta see this." That was the best one I've seen in a long time.
Lisa, that's what Renee says, just having a bad day for some reason.
See,
I don't know.
women can understand that, but men's brains just don't work that way.
Lord forbids us. Oh, it's just the hormones. Yeah,
I ain't claiming that one. I'm just
women get really hurt over that.
Well, Mr. Lewis, I can cook up a fair meal, I guess, but I like her cooking much better.
He just likes my dishwashing much better.
Mm-hmm. Her doing whines a lot.
Oh, it does. Yeah, it makes the awfulest little whiny baby racket when I turn that thing on. I told that to Todd the other day, and he didn't get it. He was like, "Your new dishwasher's making a racket already?" I'm like, "Yeah, its name is Snot Tub."
Yeah, Tim.
The thing is cute.
So Tim tries to get out of doing dishes by doing the cooking. That's how.
Yeah. It's like I've told Tim already that there's never been a man shot while he was doing the dishes.
That's a true statement. Might get knocked in the head with a frying skillet, but he ain't gonna get shot.
Well, not till after he finishes them, I'm sure.
Yeah.
no sense in jumping the gun.
You wipe that counter down and put that rag up, and it's on.
Yeah.
They smart about that too. I'll stay quiet until he gets that wrapped up. Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, we learn a few things, even though y'all think we don't. DC's on the spaghetti now.
DC always likes talking about food.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
whose chat was that not long ago? Where they were talking about baked spaghetti ain't real food.
I think Jags, one with Jags was in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they said that's a spaghetti. What did they say? That's a spaghetti casserole. Is what they said. I about fell out when I heard that.
Well, I wouldn't put in there. Well, you eat lasagna, right? Lasagna is baked spaghetti.
Well, I have to kind of disagree with you. You got different seasonings and different noodles in there.
Yeah, we always called that a goulash when you had a bunch of stuff stirred with pasta and put it in the oven.
It was one of Miss T's lives.
I thought so.
Yeah, because they was talking about somebody putting sugar in their spaghetti, and some folks was having a fit. I don't know. I like a little bit of sugar on my big limas. Now that's the only way they could eat me to eat. Eat my lima beans as a kid. My daddy threw a little sugar in there, and I was like, okay, I can handle that. But even as an adult now, that's pretty well the only way I'll eat lima beans, unless I salt them up real good. But I still like a little pinch of sugar in my lima bean.
I like smoked ham in my lima beans.
So I did some chicken the other day, and I put it on the grill and browned it up, and then I put it in foil. And I'll usually pour a little barbecue sauce in there and seal it up and put it back on the heat for about 30 minutes. But this time I stopped myself and I said, wait a minute, I'm going to put some of that baker's honey in there instead of that barbecue sauce. And you talk about good.
Ooh,
poured that baker's honey over it. Yeah, it had all it had was salt, pepper, and paprika, which is my basic dry rub. And then I put that baker's honey on it and sealed it up and finished cooking it. Oh man, it was tender and good. Wow, and glazed.
Okay.
I found was the whipped honey with cinnamon in it. Put that on a sweet potato. Oh my goodness!
Mm-hmm. I'll
a little
bet.
bit of butter and that cinnamon whipped honey.
I ate a lot of sweet potatoes.
Especially if it's a Chilton City, Mississippi sweet potato. That's the best sweet potato there is, in my opinion. Yeah, they don't get no finer than a good old Mississippi sweet potato.
And y'all can see some of the looks I get at different grocery stores because I have to specifically ask, do y'all have Mississippi sweet potatoes? They think it's a brand name. I'm like, really? How long y'all live down here?
Well, there's a sweet potato in Louisiana they call a yam. And I think they grow them over around Natchitoches. And they're bigger and they say sweeter, but I think it's a kind of a marketing ploy.
Man.
I hear dishes clanking. Jasper washing dishes for y'all tonight.
Well, he just got in his bed.
Yeah.
I hear a bunch of dishes clanking. That's why I said that.
He gave up and curled up.
He's done.
Yeah.
But
Yes, DC, they are. Look, my grandma had a fit. What, about 3 years ago or so? It was before she got completely bedridden. It was one of the last holiday meals we cooked. And me and my grandma ended up doing most of it that year. We spent, a solid day in that kitchen cooking. But my aunt had called her the day before. She was getting some of the groceries and bringing them for us to cook. And she called my grandma and wanted to know if she had the canned yams for the sweet potato casserole. And I blushed the way my grandma went off on her. What is wrong with you? That is not how you make a sweet potato casserole. She lost it.
pretty much told her, if you bring that in here, it's going to go in the garbage.
Yeah.
Like,
oh my goodness.
I hear you.
But we had a blast doing that because Tim went to the grocery store and got us real sweet potatoes to bake. And me and my we had like a dozen sweet potatoes in this mixing bowl we were beating with the electric spinner thing. And she went to hit the eject button to kick the little whisk deals out. Well, she hit the high button instead of eject. We cleaned sweet potatoes off the 10-foot ceilings in that kitchen that day. That was the most fun I've had cooking in forever now.
Yeah, if you get a good sweet potato, whenever you put that rascal in the oven, and whenever that puppy's ready, and you see that burnt crystallization down there on that aluminum foil, you know you're fixing to tear into something good. If it ain't weeping out like that, just throw it in the garbage.
Or you can make a casserole out of it.
Or make a casserole.
Yeah. I don't even put butter on sweet potatoes. I eat them just straight out. Just eat them.
I can make a
Break them open, eat
meal
them.
with a sweet potato right by itself.
Done that a
And I ate
million
a bunch of them because I'm trying not to eat carbs, so I eat a bunch of them. I eat one every night, I think.
Yeah, we love them.
We'll get the 40-pound box when they start bringing. Like I said, when I know they're bringing in the Mississippi potatoes, we're gonna go get a 40-pound box.
Literally.
They'll last us, I don't know, about 2 months. We'll finally get on through them, but it's good sized potatoes. You ain't getting no little skimpy sweet potato off of it. You get a meal out of just one of them bad boys.
One potato, one meal.
Yes, sir.
I like the little ones when you're doing just a side. You eating them as a side.
Mm-hmm.
You don't feel like you got to cut them in half and anything like that.
Well, it's not it's way past my bedtime. I'm having fun, y'all, but I'm winding down really fast since I'm out of coffee.
Yeah. Well, thank y'all. Thank y'all, everybody. Philip,
thank y'all. It was been good.
Yes, sir.
It was fun tonight.
All right. Good night, Hanniboo, or is it Hanniboo or Hanniboo? I can't even get it right.
Well, the kids call me Hanny Boo, and
Hanny,
everybody else, just like I was telling Danae earlier, I don't even think my dad remembers my real name. Like I've been Boo my whole life in my family. That's what all the grown-ups just call me Boo, and all the kids call me Hanny Boo.
I thought they were calling you Auntie Boo when you first said it. I didn't know you were saying Hanny.
It's Hanny Boo.
Hanny Boo. All right.
That's how they get away with not saying aunt.
Yeah, it's a nickname, so it works though.
Yeah,
I don't mind it for the kids.
But
So,
well,
All right.
All right. Good night, guys.
night.
Good
all right,
night.
y'all.
Have a
Y'all
good
take care.
week.
See y'all later.
All right. Well, y'all.
I don't know if Miss Leona's still in here, but if you are, y'all take care, Miss Leona.
Where am I? I'm trying to.
And we are looking forward to next week, big time. Y'all say a prayer that I don't fall, and I'll actually be able to be myself with y'all on here next week.
Oh,
I'm probably gonna lock myself down in this chair so I don't have another incident.
it's a blessing having y'all. We look forward to having y'all come in again as well, and maybe we can.
Maybe Miss Leona will make
That's what I
a
was going to
sneak
say.
peek in here.
We enjoyed talking with her.
Yeah, we did.
That was a blessing in itself there. Thank y'all, everybody. Thank you to the members. Thank you to the ones that put a love offering in there. We do appreciate you.
We do. We don't expect it, but we do appreciate it.
Lord, no, we don't. But yes, once again, thank you. And y'all have a blessed week. And God bless you. Lord willing, we'll see y'all on the next one.
Y'all take care.